Hello and welcome to Snack Time.
Welcome to Snack Time, everybody.
Hey
Snack
there.
Time. Hey.
Hey.
So, it's October.
It is?
Yeah. Can you tell in the exasperated, just generally exhausted tone in my voice that it is October?
That's usually how I determine the months these days. I just kind of I talk to Graham, and that's.
Is October your most exhausting month?
Yes, it absolutely is.
Why October and not November?
Well, see, here's the thing. There are big games in November, right?
Yes.
There are huge games in November.
But you don't care about any of those?
Well, it's not
personally?
that. I mean, personally, there are things I care about and don't, but
yes.
Part of the thing about, running a video game site is that we have to cover things, and while there are very large things in November, especially lately, those very large things chase away most of the things. So there are actually more things in October than there are in November.
Right.
I don't know about that. I actually feel like there were more things in October than November, and then some things migrated back to November. That being both Dragon Age and Assassin's Creed. Probably something else I'm forgetting.
I mean, I think what always happens with that is there are things in your head, and
yes, there are.
The things that are most likely to be prominent are the ones you care about, and if you care about it, it is a pretty good chance that a lot of people care about it. So the things you care about most are more likely to be the big ones, and therefore are more likely to be in November.
Very true.
But just go, from an editing, scheduling perspective, week to week, October is way more packed.
All right.
So, yeah.
So, speaking of October...
Okay.
Actually, I don't have a good segue. I'm playing Forza Horizon 2, though.
Yes.
This game
did not come out in October.
It came out on September 30th, so the day before the start of October. Close enough.
Yeah.
Basically October.
Basically October.
Yeah. I'm driving a car. This game looks gorgeous. It probably doesn't
does it ever?
It doesn't come across too well on the stream because, you can only stream high enough. I can't stream the best quality. I mean, it's good, but it's not as good as...
Let's just say the video quality looks better than your driving, Andrew.
Hey, man, I'm in first place, okay?
Not for long.
I'm in first place.
Oh, yeah, you are now.
I'm doing better in this game than I do in a typical race in Mario Kart. I will say that much.
This is more your jam.
Yes.
You're more a simulation racer.
Well, okay, so Forza Horizon
just crashed into that wall, but I would be doing way worse than you. Simulation racers are not my jam. I really shouldn't talk smack.
So before you continue, I think Andrew is less into action racers and more into arcade racers. So less Mario Kart, more Burnout Paradise.
More Burnout, more Forza Horizon 2. So, yeah, Forza Horizon is kind of an offshoot of the main series, and it's more focused on an open world to drive around in, and it's less strict about the handling, and it just feels more arcadey, and that's fantastic because I respect the Forza games from a distance, but I can never get into them because they are very strict, just the same way Gran Turismo is.
Yeah.
But Horizon, the first one, I played it about a year after it came out because it was super cheap, and I was just I'm really curious about this game because apparently it's a lot more, it's friendlier. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
The magical land of Colorado.
Yes, very magical. So I legitimately would put it on a top 5 racing games of all time list. That game blew me away.
You certainly don't have to sell me on the idea of arcade racing games.
Yes. I mean, you are also a fan.
We very recently took a look at Rush 2049 on the Dreamcast, which is, strange enough, a very similar sort of game. At least from driving perspective, not as far as the structure of the game. It's clearly more of a modern thing. But I don't know. There's something about just driving in a way that is fun and not realistic. If I wanted to drive in a way that's realistic,
you just drive your actual
car.
Yeah.
That's not as much fun.
Yeah. But, so Forza Horizon 2 does not take place in the magical land of Colorado. Where does it take place?
It takes place in France.
All in France?
I believe it's yes, I think. I'm not very far into the campaign, I guess, if you could call it a campaign.
Okay.
But
from my understanding, it takes place in like France and southern Italy.
Yes. There you go. That's right.
Northern Italy. I guess.
Northern Italy. Yes. So
southern France, northern Italy. There we go.
There you go.
The border.
You know more about this game than I do, apparently.
Well,
have you been playing it too, Graham?
I have not, but it is certainly on our radar. I'm excited.
Have you played the first one at all?
I played the first one some.
Yeah.
I liked it to a certain extent. It felt like a first effort, like it really needed, revisiting. And it's one of those things where it was following up these great Criterion games. So like, jumping in and just there was a lot of it where they needed some work. But the Playground Games people, the people who developed the game, there's a lot of Bizarre Creation staff over there. Yeah. Especially, I think they added more since the first game. So. Like, there's some pretty talented car guys over there.
Yeah, it definitely shows. Like these games play great, but like they don't sacrifice the handling in favor of being more arcadey. It's just more forgiving. And if you want to play, super pro, like you would in regular Forza, you can turn off all the assists and all that, and the game actually rewards you for that if you're super into Forza, but you want something a little more laid back, but you still want to play with those controls and that like handling, you totally can, and the game will throw more experience at you as a result. And I will never actually play that way, but it's really cool that it's there for those people.
Yeah.
So
options. More options is good.
Yes, and
I'm
probably going to write this. Just I guess a heads up. This probably will be the focus of my next New Game Plus, but. I used to really hate, like, the idea of an open world racing game. I don't know why. I always thought it seemed so boring.
It's a weird mix in my mind. I don't think I've ever played one before, though, so I don't know.
But then
I feel like you get that is understandable if the period in which you didn't like the idea was between the announcement of Test Drive Unlimited and the release of Burnout Paradise.
Yes, and there was actually a certain point where I played some Burnout Paradise and was like, Why I don't want this. This isn't Burnout, and I was actually
that's where you lose me.
Yeah, well, hey, okay, so Burnout Paradise one of my favorite racing games. So I turned around on that. It's just that first, I was still so off put on I was just so off put by.
You liked old Burnout.
Yes, I liked old Burnout, and it was
This was not quite that.
Yes, and once I actually took the time to kind of play around with it more, it definitely grew on me. And now at this point, with that game and the Forza Horizon games, like. I'm all about open world racing games because it's just relaxing, like in a way that I don't feel like other games are. Even like games like Grand Theft Auto, where you can drive around in the open world. There's something about just knowing you're just in a car, just kind of just cruising, just finding stuff and I don't know, just having a good time. It's just
and like. So I don't know if this is necessarily true with Forza Horizon 2, and you can tell me, but. The one thing about open world racing games that I have really come to like is, back in the days of the old arcade racing games, especially something like, going back to Rush or whatever, like there were shortcuts kind of on the side, and, it was fun to learn them and take them, but like learning them was a matter of like, there is a shortcut there, take it, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing I really like about open world racing games is that not only it's about like knowing where they are, but it's about knowing, kind of on the fly when it will be a good time to take them, and just kind of improvising in that way. And I think that's really cool. It's like really getting to know your surroundings is a good way to be a better racer. So I think that's cool.
And
does it sort of tie in, guys, when for open world games, something like Grand Theft Auto, a lot of people will just hop in a car and just drive around. I mean, that's kind of it.
Why are they doing that? The driving in Grand Theft Auto is not good.
Well, no, but I mean, the idea is that you can drive anywhere.
It's gotten better, but it's still not good.
I like it in 5. I like it in 5, but hey.
Right, but I mean, in terms of sort of the openness and your driving, I can sort of see that
just,
feel. Like, especially in a game like that, I can't get over how good this looks.
It's fantastic.
It's real good.
So to answer your question, Graham, I guess question or inquiry as to if this game is like that, it definitely is. Like, a lot of these races, I haven't run into it too often because I'm still kind of, again, early on, so a lot of the races haven't been too challenging. But there's definitely a situation where you have your GPS and it tells you this is the road you should take during the race. But there are many opportunities you come across where you can see like an easy path off of into like a field of grass, and the game handles really well in grass and like just basically off road, to the point where it's actually really fun to drive off road versus a lot of other racing games where once you're off road the cars basically are like nope, and they just kind of go all over the place and you're screwed. This game really like it's all about that sort of thing. So like there was actually a recent race I did before I started streaming. I had, I was pretty far behind, so I just started. I'm just gonna say screw it. I'm just gonna drive through the grass, and I ended up coming in first because I found what might not qualify as a traditional shortcut, like maybe bursting through a wall or something, like in a kart racer or something, but just like getting ahead of the pack because I managed to explore a little more. And I feel like if you get to know the open world really well too, some of those later races will become a lot easier because you're like, oh yeah, I remember this road, so I can just kind of go my own way instead of strictly following the GPS. So that's right. I don't want to do this event that I'm doing right now. It's all about jumping. Well then,
get out.
I'm not going to do it. Anyway, yeah. So
this car doesn't look like it's built for jumping.
I know it does no. Some of there are these bucket list events which basically are here's this random car, now here do this thing in it, and a lot of it was like a speed like time trial sort of thing. There was a couple of traditional races, but this one is different than any other I've done so far. So it shows there's some good variety with those, at least.
I noticed the menus are a lot nicer than Gran Turismo 5.
I feel like yes.
It didn't take you a long time to, for example, select something or find something.
Yeah, I feel like you could point to just about any racing game, and you could say, yeah, these menus are probably better than Gran Turismo 5.
Yeah, say what you will. I mean, you don't have to love Microsoft published stuff, but it seems like the one thing that that stable of studios is capable of doing is making some really intuitive menu schemes.
Yeah.
There are exceptions. There are notable exceptions. Henry and I have probably both talked about them. But
I think all three of us have written an article about menus in some way or fashion.
Yeah, we certainly have talked about Fable in particular. But the in-game menus, just I don't know. I'm a sucker for that stuff. They tend to do pretty good stuff with that.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. And it's so frustrating to see bad ones because you think, I guess there's sort of a what am I trying to say here? I guess there's something to be said for simplicity and what may seem like simple menus is sort of subtly really good design. But you think to make intuitive, easy menus would be not that hard. So when you see really bad menus, you're just really frustrated because you're like, how did you screw this up? You had to have known this was not, even at a glance, this doesn't look good. You had to have known this was a bad idea. So I'm not saying it's easy to make good, really good menus, but surely it has to be easy also to not make horrifically bad menus.
Yeah, you really have to go out of your way to do bad things.
I would think so.
Yeah.
More of you probably mentioned this before, either in something you've written or just offhand, but I feel like the best menus are ones you don't really think about or notice at first, because they're just kind of when you're maybe you guys do. You guys probably think about menus more than I do, but for me, the best menus are just it's maybe 10 hours into a game, and then I realize, man, these menus are really nice because I haven't had a single problem with them. And I hadn't noticed because it never got in the way of what I wanted to do in the game.
Probably a sign of good immersion, right? Where you're just so focused on the game and so you get into it so easily you don't even notice. Yeah, I can see that being a good thing for sure.
I mean, for this game, before you even mentioned anything about the menus, I didn't even really think about it. But now I'm like, oh man, yeah, this game has really good menus. You're right.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that whoever's designing the menus over a Playground game should maybe talk to the OS team. Over at Xbox.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're slowly improving that. I haven't actually tried out the October, because it's just a preview version right now, but the October update that's coming out has this basically has a menu that lets you use the snap functionality way, in a manner that's way easier. Like it's not overly complex or kind of cumbersome the way it is now if you don't have a Kinect, let's say. So I think that's cool. Like the reason, like I used to check achievements all the time on Xbox games, at least on the 360 and Xbox One. You have to pop out of the game, go to essentially a separate app, wait for that to load, pick the specific game, and then wait for the achievements to load. And then the new update, it's going to be more classic, where you can just look at the achievements on the fly and also have them snap to the side of the screen. And if you're actually like tracking your progress on a certain achievement, you'll be able to just like keep that up while you're doing whatever you're doing to get that achievement, and know you're on the right track if that's what you're into. So that sort of thing is pretty cool. I like the snap feature in concept. I'm just bummed that it hasn't been used better, but I think hopefully soon it will be. At least for the simple stuff like that.
Yeah. So, and before I forget, next time you get a chance, I wouldn't mind seeing what sort of cars you have available in this game.
Yeah, sure. After this race, I will pop into the nearest garage and show you. I don't have a lot because I haven't actually spent a lot of money on cars. Most of the cars I have, I've won. I think I actually only have 3. But
can you customize the looks of them? And
yes,
things
you
like
can customize the looks. You can go fully pretty deep. And
is that tied to cost, or is that just you can do whatever you want from an aesthetics perspective?
For the actual look of the car?
Yeah.
No, that's you can just do whatever you want. When we actually want to, you could actually upgrade the parts of the car,
right.
which will affect obviously handling and speed and all that. And again, another cool thing about Forza Horizon versus the main games is car customization. They have 2 options. They have, you can just do whatever you want. You can do custom car. You can customize your car however you want, and then they have like basic packages. Like, I want this car is B rank. I want it to be A rank, so I will just pay money and make it upgrade to that rank.
Cool.
Like automatically. So you don't need to mess with that if you don't want to. And also the kind of the race events or the events in this game, the championship events, all cater to the car you have. So if you switch cars, you'll get different events, and you won't need to worry about, like, let's say running into an event that you can't drive because you don't have the right car. It just won't show up for you at all. But it will be there if you ever get a car of that type, which, if you play this game for a while, you'll probably eventually have,
at least a car of all the types.
Yeah, a car of all the different, like the main types. So, yeah, so stuff like that. Just really, really, really neat ideas. Whoops. Yeah. Also, you will see that I've been using a couple of times here the handy-dandy rewind function, which if, let's say, you make a really bad turn or you crash to a wall and you're like, nope, I don't want that, you could just rewind, and as far as I can tell, there's really no penalty. I think there's a point where you can't rewind anymore, but like if you just want to go really far back, let's say to the start of the race, I don't think they'll let you do that. But you can rewind if you make a simple mistake and think you can correct it.
Cool.
So yeah, that's cool.
Like that.
I really like this game, guys. It's fantastic.
Cool. So yeah, when you do get to the customization, I would love to see your take on what a Snackcar games car would look like.
God, you're actually gonna make me try that?
Yeah,
all
a
right.
Snackcar.
Cool. Absolutely.
Sure.
You already got, what the color scheme's going to be?
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right,
we'll figure it out.
So while you keep racing, Henry, what's on the docket? What do we got to talk about?
Let's talk about. I'm dying to. I can't wait to talk about Smash Brothers.
Okay.
Guys, I can not. I see ads. Finally, I'm seeing ads everywhere for a Nintendo game. I guess for them it took a long time, but I see Smash Brothers ads everywhere. Fantastic. I know you guys have played it on the 3DS.
Graham has.
Yeah.
By you guys, I mean Graham.
Yes.
the royal,
me guys.
Royal Graham.
Yes, we the
royal Graham. How is it, man?
So my review went up. Man, it's like almost a month ago.
It's been a while, yeah.
It has, but I am finally excited to play the game myself in English because it's my primary language.
What?
I'm a little better. I'm a little better in English than I am in Japanese. I don't think I get any editing jobs for Japanese game sites. Yes, I'm as excited as you are to play that version, I think. But the game it's really good. What do you want to know about it? I'm happy to answer any questions.
is there a reason for me, who's planning on buying the game for the Wii U on opening day, no question, is there incentive to get both versions?
So there is incentive. Whether it's enough for you is a matter of interpretation, but it's a solid game. The stages, there are a lot of different stages. There are a few they share, but generally you get different stages. You get Smash Run mode, which is a fun mode, but I will say that one's pretty dependent on knowing people around to have the game, because it is... Yeah. You can play it single player with computers, but the way to play that is with other people. So
I've heard in the reviews they usually mention Smash Run as sort of being like the one criticism I hear is that you need to play it with people.
I mean, it's a criticism, I guess, but also like specializing in that context makes it really good in that context.
For sure. And the game really is, I mean, Smash Brothers is meant to be played with other players.
I definitely think that's going to find its audience when like people go to like cons, or maybe you show up at a LAN party. I don't know, like the idea of gathering around other people, like, and being able to like huddle in a corner and play this game, like that's a really good context for that, and it's probably the best thing for it.
I can't remember, guys, has Nintendo ever done anything like this in terms of releasing a major game on the handheld and on their consoles sort of roughly at the same time? I can't really remember another instance of them doing this.
Yeah, so they generally don't have like a dual, development process, but they have released parallel games. Like they just would call them. They'd be more creative with the names, and they'd usually be single player games with plots as opposed to multiplayer only games. So, but I mean, you look at like, I don't know, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour and Mario Golf Advance Tour came out at basically the same time, and they had link functionality, and you could share your characters between them. So there's stuff like that. Then there was interaction with Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion. The difference now is that the portable system can have something approximating what the home system was capable of.
So you're saying, the hardware has finally sort of caught up.
Yeah. So the idea of like having the same game on both platforms just was crazy before. Like you weren't going to make a game that was exactly the same on the GameCube and the GBA, or the N64 and the Game Boy Color. But there were a couple instances like with Mario Golf and Tennis, and then to a certain extent they shared development resources and teams, like Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures. But the idea of developing these at the same time, I think, is relatively new, at least in a Nintendo context.
Very cool.
I am in the garage, guys.
Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
Yes, I'm letting you guys know I am in the garage. I bought a new car just because I don't have that many cars. As it turns out, I only have two, so this is not my third. But this car is orange.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else do you think I can add to this car to make it more snack bar?
If you get some accents of maroon in there,
all right,
pretty good.
All right.
Any designs that have rounded edges probably work pretty well. And if you need any further accents, clearly use white.
Okay. Got it.
That was the audio brand guide for Snack Bar Games.
Good to know.
There it is.
Everyone take note.
Yeah, so most of my time I'm doing graphic design work, so I've written brand guides before, but they're usually... I guess people who aren't graphic designers aren't necessarily familiar with these things, but like large companies and companies who think they're as important as large companies make like 30 to 40 page brand guides for what their logo is and how to use it and things like that, which is just like a disaster. Like UPS, you're supposed to take the width of the UPS logo, multiply it by 3 in any direction, and nothing can be in that spot. Just like, no, you gotta get away from the logo, run away. But no, I don't have any. Admittedly, no one else is using our logo. We're using it. It makes it a lot easier.
Only us.
Cool. Yeah.
How's this looking, guys?
It looks great.
Yes, it's get in there. Yep, it's an orange machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap up with Smash Brothers on this. I foresee a future snack time of Smash Brothers.
It's certainly not the 3DS version until we get proper capture equipment for that. But yeah, no, I think that will probably happen.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Something to look forward to. Let's move on, Graham. Let's go to you again. Tell me about Fantasy Life.
Okay.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so I have just been digging into it. I picked up the European version. It comes out in the U.S. at the end of the month. But it is, man, it's really good.
Yeah?
It's really good. So, how do I put this? So you take the best elements from Animal Crossing,
By the way, guys,
Harvest Moon, and Monster Hunter.
Do you like the name?
I do.
Okay.
It's classic.
Sorry, I was starting to talk earlier and was getting flustered by the name. Yes, that's the only name for the car.
Okay, good.
Take the best elements from Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, and Monster Hunter.
Whoa. The best elements from those three?
Yes.
You've got an impossibly good game.
And then code it in the level 5 Layton sort of aesthetic, right?
Oh my goodness.
It's real good.
I don't know if I can.
And so here's the thing, okay? Here's a good way to sum up the whole game.
Lay it on me.
Anything you do, you get better at. When you are running, your skill meter for running goes up. Oh. And you gain levels in running, so you get better at running.
Which is good, because you tend to run a lot in video games.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get faster or anything, but it depletes your stamina less and less.
Is there a grip level when you're gripping onto stuff? Let's say you're holding onto a ledge or something.
Perhaps Colossi.
I mean, there's no...
Or
you don't grip onto things.
You don't grip onto
Colossi. As I can tell. I've only played 5 of the lives, the classes, so far. The game has 12, and you can have all of them.
I was just making a clever Metal Gear Solid 2 reference, don't mind me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just trying to tell you about the game.
Okay, all right. Go on.
Ask me about the game if you don't want to know about the game.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I definitely... There are times when, I don't know what to do next. But you decide to, run in a circle until your stamina meter runs down, because that would give you running points. I think
I can just imagine Graham writing an FAQ for this game. Run around in circles a lot.
Well, a lot. I mean, you get stat boosts every time you level up, and you level up kind of as an aggregate of all your skills. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I started out as an alchemist, which I wouldn't recommend to new players. It's kind of not a beginning class, but I just wanted to try it out. But I was making healing potions, and there was the alchemist's the alchemist's little hut or whatever. And that's in the middle of the town. And then at the south of the town was a place where you can pick up spring water and heal weed, which is the 2 things you need to make a base healing potion. So I would use up all my stamina meter to go down, pick up the 3 of each of those I could get, run back, and then craft them, and then run down and then get more, and then run back and craft them. And it was real good because I could gain some levels, boosted my vitality. Is great. So yeah, it's kind of if you want an RPG with a robust storyline, this is not that. There is a main quest line, and you will get through it. And I haven't yet, but it's pretty clear. I'm pretty far into it without that it's not a 40-hour quest line. It's a 6 to 8 hour quest line.
Okay,
maybe?
So if you wanted to just focus on the main quests, you're probably not going to get a lot out of this, but is it still good, at least, for those
it's okay.
6 to 8 hours?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to do way more interesting things if you go off the beaten path.
Yeah. I feel like, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah. It's one of those games where the campaign is basically an extended tutorial. It doesn't feel like that, but the idea of the campaign is to show you all the things.
Look at
it's
this
to get you to walk around the world.
Look at this wet pavement.
It's real good.
So good.
Man,
I'm such a big fan of wet pavement that I'm considering buying the PS4 or Xbox One version of Sleeping Dogs, just so I could see the wet pavement in full 1080p.
if you just want to start a column where you just evaluate the wet pavement, and
Andrew, you best keep those wet pavement comments to yourself. You're getting a little excited.
All right.
you need a specialized scale for evaluating the wet pavement in any given game.
Well, I think Sleeping Dogs so far, I mean, again, I haven't seen it in its full glory on PC, but I feel like what I've seen of it, even just on 360, pretty nice wet pavement.
Is it, Andrew, it's because you're in Texas and it never rains there, so you've never seen wet pavement? Or
That's actually funny you say that. It's actually been raining constantly here lately.
Really?
So, yeah, like basically the past couple of months on and off, constant.
Also, it rained a lot, in New York, where Andrew was for the vast majority of his life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe he misses it then, but apparently not, because it's raining there all the time.
There's also a lot of pavement.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now you're in a concrete jungle, that's for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of wet pavement, that there will probably be some wet pavement in one of the other racing games launching this holiday season.
Ooh, yes.
It appears we have a battle back, and no clear front runner.
I mean, okay, so I will play.
Think it's this one?
Yes, I think this is. I haven't played the crew at all. Obviously, I haven't played either of the other two main ones that I'm thinking of.
I'm definitely gonna play Drive Club because
it's free.
Part of it
there's
for free.
A version of it for free for PlayStation Plus. So might as well try that. But yeah, like I'm interested in the crew because it seems more like. Okay, so the big difference between that game and this game is that game is persistently online, which is how Need for Speed Rivals, right? Yes, Rivals.
Right.
There's so many Need for Speed games it's hard to keep track. Rivals was the one that came out last year. Except that the big problem with that game was it was so limited because it was only a max of 6 players and the world was pretty big, so your chances of running into them, those players were slim, and your chances of actually having a race with them were even slimmer. So it kind of it was neat that it worked, but it also didn't really work that much because it was kind of so this open world is to me that's how you don't do an open world because it was designed for online, but it was so it just didn't feel right. It felt empty. Even this game isn't like that because it's populated instead by drivatars, drivatars.
Yeah,
the ghosts of your friends and other.
That's just a normal word.
Yeah, drivatar. I've been saying that since I was 2 years old. Drivatar. That was actually my first word. Did you know? It's drivatar.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same with this game. It's not again persistently online. I mean it pulls in stuff from other people either on your friends list or just out in the world of people playing Forza Horizon 2. But at least that is still better than a game where it's mostly just 5 other players who you might barely run across every now and again and otherwise never see. And you couldn't even team up with friends or anything. It just was really messed up. So the main point I'm trying to make here is the crew seems like that, but on a bigger scale. So that's why I'm excited about that. Plus, it's from the guys that did the Last Driver game, which was surprisingly really good.
Oh yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah, so I am cautiously optimistic about it. The crazy thing about that game is it comes out the same day as 2 other Assassin's Creed games and a week before Far Cry 4. So Ubisoft is releasing 4 open world games within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah.
Or a week of each other, rather. So that's.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done that. They've done some crazy stuff like that before, but yeah, I guess if you really like.
It seems like grouping releases is just a thing people are doing now.
Yeah. It's weird.
Nintendo released Mario Golf and Kirby on the same day in May.
Yep.
After not releasing anything for months.
Yep.
And now they're releasing 3 games in the same day in October.
Oh yeah, so it's it's the 2 Pokemon games and what else?
And Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
And what was the other one?
Wait, you sure Bayonetta's October?
Yes.
Okay, wait, hold on. Oh no, so Bayonetta comes out the same day as Fantasy Life. Nintendo,
yes.
Which Nintendo is publishing, correct?
Yes. Oh, okay. Bayonetta, Fantasy Life, and Pokemon Art Academy.
Oh, okay.
Are releasing the same day in October.
Sorry, I was thinking of the rumor of Smash Bros. Wii U's release date, which was on the same day as Pokemon. but that's never confirmed. That was just like a supposed leak, but I don't know if that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like if that was a thing, they would have announced it by now.
Yeah. It's just interesting, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, but like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it may be like a shipping thing or a manufacturing thing, but, I mean, I don't... Yeah, anyway, sorry.
I won the championship, guys. My second championship win.
I'm very proud of you.
You just beat it?
Yes, I beat the game.
You beat the second time. So this was your new game plus.
Yeah, exactly. No,
so it's over now.
Wait
a minute. The menu said you're only 2% done. What's going on here?
So the way the main, like, I guess, campaign works is there. You need to become the Forza Horizon champion. You need to win 15 championships, and then you become the all-time champion of this Horizon Festival, which is where this game takes place. So,
that's pretty.
Yeah, that's kind of the main. I guess let's just call it the main narrative arc of Forza Horizon.
Now,
2.
Andrew, do you feel like you'll finish the main narrative arc?
Probably. It doesn't seem that bad. This is only my second time sitting down with it. Yeah, this is only my second time sitting down with it, and I've already finished 2 of them. But I don't think the thing is, I think this is going to be one of those games that I don't like focus mainline the main stuff, because I feel like if I did that, and I feel like again part of this game is being able to just go wherever you want and do whatever you want. And occasionally do some main events and you make progress in that. But this is one of those games I'll be popping in, to every couple of weeks and just messing around with, and then going back to something else.
Yeah, you've been busy this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
These past couple of weeks, even. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in particular, this week, what have you been playing?
Alongside Forza Horizon 2. This week, we also saw the release of Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, which is the new Lord of the Rings game from Monolith, a fantastic team. I don't think this is their first big game in a while. I feel like the last thing they made was that weird Batman, not Batman, but Batman shooter game, that Gotham City Imposters game, which was really weird.
Oh yeah, remember that one?
It wasn't bad. It was neat, but it was just really weird for them. But so.
This is probably the first Lord of the Rings game I really feel compelled to play. It seems, what is it, combo with Assassin's Creed, and they got the battle system from Arkham.
It is, yes.
From their games, yeah. It looks really cool.
Let's be clear, this is not a Lord of the Rings game.
It is Middle
Earth.
Yes.
Sorry, Middle Earth. That's right. This is the first time that
that seems weird
to play a Middle Earth game.
Okay, so basically, sorry, I was focused on what was happening, which was not much of anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's basically
You're distracted by the pretty lady.
Yes, exactly. So Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is, to boil it down, it is essentially Assassin's Creed meets Batman Arkham, the Batman Arkham games, but that really does the game a disservice. So yes, it plays a lot like Assassin's Creed when you're running around Mordor, basically, and when you're fighting dudes, it's Batman with a sword instead of your fists. And both of those, I feel like it does the Assassin's Creed stuff better than most Assassin's Creed games, and the Batman style combat is still fantastic. I believe I've heard this game was originally actually a Batman game before it.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings. Yeah,
so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely very to the point where Assassin's Creed style, to the point where you find towers and then you go to the top of them and you do a thing and that uncovers part of the map and then you jump off of them. That's it's that style of Assassin's Creed. But the big draw is the Nemesis system, which is kind of the thing that everyone is talking about. It's basically okay. Hold on.
Oh,
train of thought.
Andrew, you're keeping us in the dark here. You can't just say, "Here's what's so great about this game." Hang on a second.
No, I'm actually not going to tell you anything about it. I'm just going to...
No, what a tease.
Okay, Andrew, let's move on.
No.
Let's not talk about Andrew.
So the Nemesis system, basically the way it works is Sauron's army is essentially made up of three types. I think it's 3 or 4 rankings. And each one, as the game progresses, you'll see like different orcs like move up in the ranks, and as you run into them, they have specific strength level, and based on that, like you'll just randomly run into them in the world without really like you won't really know who they are. You'll just kind of stumble upon them. And I'm just going to drive around so I can actually focus on what I'm trying to say here. So apologies if the actual game content gets a little boring, but basically, like, okay, well, let me give you an example. So you're just kind of wandering around. You run into a group of orcs, and you're like, I just want to kill these guys just because I don't know, why not? So as you're fighting them, you might randomly run into one of the captains, the orc captains, and they could say, you know, hey, I don't like the way you look, I want to kill you. So basically, you have to you can either fight them or run, and if you manage to successfully kill them, that frees up a rank on the kind of the Sauron's army thing, and someone else can move up in that rank. But the thing is, I don't think any of those guys actually die when you kill them. So I've had situations where one of my favorite parts of the game so far is I'm like, okay, I'm on this mission to take out this specific orc captain and his other troops. So I go, I sneak in. There's a lot of stealth in this game that you can utilize, and it's very effective when you're trying to sneak into strongholds, for example. So I was sneaking in, and I found where the guy was, and I got into a fight with him because he spotted me, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a guy I thought I killed way back in the beginning of the game just randomly climbs up the area I'm at, and then what it does is it zooms in on the dude when he shows up, and he said, I'm going to get you for what you did to my face, and he has a huge scar across his face because I fought him before and supposedly like defeated him. So he just shows up out of the blue, and because of that, the other guy managed to get away, the guy who I was trying to kill. So now he's on the loose, and because of that, he's going to get stronger, so the next time I run into him, you know, excuse me, he'll be more prepared for me. But in the meantime, I managed to kill that guy a second time, and he later showed up a third time with, I think, a bag over his head because, I don't know, he got even more beat up. I don't know. It's random. So, and all the orcs' personalities and their traits, like they have specific traits like strengths and weaknesses, that's all randomly generated. So you will run into, you know, randomly this guy who, let's say, is afraid of fire. So if he's at a place where there are some other orcs, like hanging out around a campfire, one of the abilities you have is with your magic bow and arrow, you can shoot the fire and cause anyone nearby to get, like, it's like causing an explosion, and it lights anyone nearby on fire. So the guy I was going after was, you know, he was afraid of fire, so he was being chased by these dudes on fire, and it was kind of funny to sit back and watch. I think he just ended up running off a cliff or something. I don't know. It was really funny. So that's like the crux of that's basically the crux of the game. There are. Oops! I just ran right into a wall. Go me.
Yeah.
There are main missions in the game, and they are neat, and some of them, you know, heavily involve the Nemesis system. Like one of the early parts of the story is you have to kill 4 warlocks, which are like the highest ranking in Sauron's army, and each of them are kind of located in their own stronghold, and so you have to invade the stronghold, find out what the dude's weaknesses are, and use that to your advantage, and hopefully you can kill them. And if you don't, then they get stronger, and the next time it's even tougher to take them out, to the point where there was this one warlock who I don't know how I can defeat, because he basically can, if he gets good hits at, like 3 or 4 good hits in on me, I'm dead. So like it can get really tough if you're not careful. But I love that because I feel like it's kind of a risk-reward sort of thing, because now I could try to ignore that guy, but he'll probably get a lot stronger if I keep ignoring him, or if I try to take him on, I need to really like focus on what his weaknesses are, or else if he kills me again, then he'll get stronger regardless. So this might sound really overwhelming if I'm just me explaining it, but it's one of those things that makes a lot of it makes a lot of sense once you actually get your hands on the game. It's like everything about it, besides the Nemesis system, is pretty boilerplate. Like, it's standard Assassin's Creed stuff, standard Batman combat. The world is cool to explore, but there's nothing remarkable about the world itself. But the Nemesis system, like, kind of gives it life and makes adds more personality to what is an otherwise kind of drab-looking environment, purposely because it's Mordor, So if you know anything about Lord of the Rings, Mordor is kind of a terrible place to be, and it's full of evil things. But but it like that alone is just it breathes life into a game that otherwise is just good but standard. So to me, that really sets it above other open world action games, and I am really loving it. It's probably one of the best games of the year I've played. Best games I've played this year so far. So
it's going to be probably my next one. Thanks to your recommendation, Andrew. That sounds really cool.
Also, I guess I don't know if anyone's actually planning on picking up the PS3 or 360 versions that come out. That they actually got delayed, and they're coming out on November 18th or October. I don't remember. They got delayed a few weeks.
But don't buy them.
Don't buy them because they don't have the Nemesis system at all. And it's that's the point of the game. Yes, they just don't have it because I don't know, because I guess that's something that you need the new consoles to do.
Wow.
And the PC version, for what I've heard, is really good too. I'm playing on PS4. But,
What about, the PC version has the Nemesis system, though?
Yes, the PC version and PS4 and Xbox One versions have the Nemesis system, so...
Okay.
If those are the versions to get if you want them. Otherwise, I don't see the point of getting the other version because it's just kind of still good. It's a solid game, but it's kind of one of those games that probably not going to remember much about it after you finish it. Versus with the Nemesis system, I feel like I've already come across 5 different instances of really cool stories I could tell based on my encounters, which is something you rarely come across in a game like this. So
cool. You are driving really, really poorly.
I'm purposely just kind of roaming around.
It's because we're distracting.
So Henry, let's talk about something while Andrew races a little better.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Graham, why don't you tell me about Fibbage?
Yeah. So Fibbage is real good.
I really need to play this game.
Fibbage?
So Jackbox Games, a company that used to be known as Jellyvision, the creators of You Don't Know Jack, they've made a different game now, which it feels like it's been maybe since You Don't Know Jack. I don't know.
They've basically just made You Don't Know Jack for a while.
Yeah. But so, I mean, to be fair, I know that Jackbox also made the Max recommendation interface for the PS3 version of Netflix.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I actually tried that out recently. I was like, "Holy, is that Cookie Masterson talking to me?"
It's not Cookie Masterson.
It sounds like him, kind of.
But it's the same style, same writers and same programmers and things. So, so Fibbage is basically, how You Don't Know Jack was kind of a take on a trivia game. This is more of a take on Balderdash or something. The idea is that you're presented with a statement with a blank in it, and everybody puts in what either something they think is close or whatever, something silly or funny. And your goal is to fool others into thinking what you put in is the correct thing to put in the blank, and then your goal is to pick out of the answers which one actually is true. And you get points for fooling people, and you get points for not being fooled. What makes this really interesting, and what makes it just you can't possibly have done it without this feature, is that the game is controlled with through browsers, on smartphones, or if you want to, laptops or whatever. So it plays up to 8 people. And you just go to Fibbage.com, you enter a 4-letter code, and then just put in your name, and then it logs you into your particular game. And that way you can put in your answers using the keyboard, and you can pick your things in secret, which there's no way you can play this game with a controller, just none. But it works really well. It's a lot of fun. And
the writing itself seems really funny too. You could tell it's from the guys because they're really still really knocking it out of the park with that stuff.
Right, and I think The one thing that got kind of old with You Don't Know Jack at times was when it decided to take the bit a little too far and just like, all right, you've been talking for a minute and a half, ask us a question. That never happens in Fibbage. There's a little quip here and there, and it's usually pretty funny. But it doesn't go on long tangents. It's just kind of just being a good host for the content.
Yeah.
Instead of making the hosting the content, which I think is a really good way to go about it. Mm-hmm. It's well put together.
So I don't know how much of this you've played overall, but have you seen any repeats of questions yet? And has that been a big problem? Because I feel like I've heard from some people who played this a lot so far. They've come across some of that, and I don't see it being a huge deal breaker. Like if you only play it every now and again, but if you're someone who has like friends over all the time and it becomes kind of the mainstay, like I could see it getting really old really fast, possibly.
So I mean I've played, I'm going to say 7 or 8 games of it.
Yeah.
I've had one repeat question.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
That's pretty impressive considering these kinds of games you're not really supposed to play like every night.
Yeah, I mean,
usually you have sort of like a rotation of games where you may play it like once every, even like I would say playing a game like this once a month is on the high end.
Well,
so
it depends on your group.
But you usually have like a large. Sure, but you usually have a large collection of types of games, right? So one repeat question and 7 or 8 tries is pretty impressive, I would say.
Right. It's just a matter of whether I'm going to have 2 repeat questions and 16 tries, or whether I'm going to have like 80 repeat questions and 16 tries.
Yeah, for sure.
And that it's hard to tell. Any party game like this, it's about like once you've exhausted the question set, it's pretty much useless. And the way that You Don't Know Jack always got around it was they had scripted episodes. Like, it's the entire episode. You would be playing the entire episode again.
Yeah.
And then, like, also, like, you just pick the episodes, especially, like, the older console versions, you pick the episode out of a menu. Yeah. And then, you, like, there was a check mark if you played the episode, so there wasn't that much chance of, getting the same thing unless you played in multiple locations or something like that. Fibbage is more standard in that it just randomly brings stuff from a database. I do hope that it gets updated with more questions.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You think this is gonna be a thing that's gonna get updated regularly, or is it gonna?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, Fibbage has been being rolled out for a little bit. It debuted on the Amazon Fire TV,
of course,
and then released on Xbox One, and then a couple weeks later hit PS4 and PS3.
Is it on? Is it actually on? Is there actually a PC version yet?
There isn't.
Okay.
It seems like it could be on anything with an internet connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good because I mean there's not that much to the front end of the game.
Yeah.
It just needs to be able to communicate with these servers. There are people who are using it as a stream game, which is interesting, and I have actually tried it out as a play remotely game. I had a friend who just logged in while we were playing and answered stuff. They don't get all the information. Like it works on a stream, you just get stuff delayed.
You're not seeing the main display, or if you're streaming it, you get a delay. So you'll get to the next question before you even see the answer to the last one.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised with all of this response as like a stream game if Jackbox didn't try to put a little more information on the phones, like the scores and things like that.
Yeah.
And the results after things go through.
Because it definitely seems like the kind of game you could play with people. It doesn't have to be in the same room. I feel like it probably benefits from being in the same room.
Yeah, I think that's the one reason that it hasn't been like that. I mean, it may just be that they didn't think about it, frankly. But it seems like there was a conscious choice to try to get people in the same room, and it's definitely better in the same room.
Yeah.
Also, at what point are you just making an HTML5 mobile app that you just play with friends while you're out?
You could do that.
That would be bad. I don't think it should turn into that.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting, an interesting side effect of the technology it's using. So I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds great. And I guess we can wrap it up with one last topic.
I'm racing my friend's Gravatar right now. In case you're wondering.
Okay, our last topic is Andrew's racing his friend's
That was my topic.
Exactly,
I'm going to spoil it for everybody.
Sorry, jumped the gun.
No, Graham, tell us about PlayStation TV while we watch Andrew drive this gorgeous red car.
Yeah, so I just... this is actually kind of late-breaking sort of stuff for me. Because the...
Breaking news.
The 3.30 firmware for the Vita that just went out. Anyone who had a Japanese Vita TV could update it and then, like, factory reset the device, but, like, then set it back up with the modern firmware and use US accounts on it. So I am, for all intents and purposes, using a PlayStation TV now. And it's interesting. The actual device releases here on the 14th, so it's not too long for people who are maybe interested in it. It's an interesting device. If you're getting it as a replacement Vita, it's maybe not the best for that
because you can't play the best Vita game on it.
Well,
that being Tearaway, of course.
I thought you were going to say Luminous, because you can totally play Luminous.
No, Tearaway is the best Vita game. Luminous is probably second best.
Yeah. Also Persona 4 Gold. You can play Persona 4 Gold.
Yes. Third best. There you
go. What was that, Henry?
No, I was mocking someone. Saying that their opinion was wrong, and I haven't played
was that person me, perhaps?
No.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah,
maybe.
But so for someone like me, I see the PlayStation TV as a chance to play really cool video games on a big screen, maybe even share them, stream them, stuff like that. But the problem is a lot of Vita exclusives are Vita exclusives because they use the Vita's special features like touchscreens and things like that, and that stuff to a large degree doesn't work because you can't use tilt on the system and things like that. So Tearaway, Uncharted, Gravity Rush, they don't work. But there are definitely a lot of cool things to this. One, it plays almost all, if not all, I haven't been able to test everything, obviously. PSP games, full screen on an HDTV and 720p, looks pretty good. There's some Vita, there's a pretty good percentage of Vita games, especially things that are, cross-buy sort of stuff that was not taking incredible advantage of the Vita system to begin with. So in that sense, it's a nice, put it somewhere else in your house on a second TV or something sort of device.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to see. I've had this thing around for a few months now, but I really wanted to test it with all the stuff I have in PSN, and I've put it through its early paces earlier this evening. It looks okay.
Sorry if you mentioned this already, but PSP games, do they look actually any good on the TV?
So, yeah, here's what I was trying to get to. Okay. It outputs in 720p, which I don't think is a problem from a resolution perspective, except for that's not the native resolution of the Vita.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things where it feels a little like, what DS games look like played on the 3DS?
Uh-huh.
Scaled to 110% and a little blurry? That's what this is. A lot of polygonal games look good in the same way that polygonal games on the DS looked good on the 3DS, because that just looks better in that context.
Mm-hmm.
The really cool pixel art 2D PSP games, played them on the Vita, where it's pixel doubling and it's just nice crisp pixels.
Uh-huh.
You don't get that on the big screen.
I like crisp pixels. Crisp pixels, I could say.
Yeah. I like them too, but that's not what you're getting on the TV. So, PSP games look like PS2 games through Component, if that makes sense. It's a little blurry. It's not, but, whereas, say, PSP games in the Vita look like Dreamcast games output through the VGA box. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Real good.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But yeah, so I mean, it's still nice. It's way better than the TV out on the PSP.
It would have to be. It would have to try really hard not to be.
Yeah, because like it's full screen and widescreen, and yes, it looks pretty good, especially if you're playing some of the polygonal stuff. I tried Soul Calibur, Broken Destiny. That looked pretty good.
Classic PSP classic right there.
Yeah, whereas say Growlancer, Wayfarer of Time.
PSP Classic. That's a bit of an oxymoron, Andrew. That was mean, Henry. Come on, be positive. Don't interrupt Graham. Graham, continue. I was just saying how much I like PSP.
Yeah, but like something like Growlancer, which I think is great, it benefits a lot more from the, big crisp pixels thing than something like Soul Calibur. Whereas something that's just kind of doesn't care about either, the third game I have been able to try out from PSP was Patapon. Patapon's real good.
Patapon.
Yeah, you do get the side effect of not having headphones and just like blasting out chaka chaka patapon everywhere.
I mean, that's not terrible.
I'm sure my neighbors love me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of interesting. The Vita games, they look okay. Navigating the interface, like even the games that work, sometimes have like touch menus, and you can like click down the stick to use the stick to just move around, and you can just get through it, and it's fine. But usually in the game, it looks pretty good. I wouldn't say like Luminous looked better on XBLA than it does here, just because of the like weird resolution thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look bad. The things that look bad are like the games that weren't at native resolution on the Vita to begin with and looked a little weird on the Vita. Like that was the one thing I always was kind of iffy about with Hot Shots, was that you could tell it was being upscaled a little on the Vita.
Uh-huh.
So it gets upscaled a little and then upscaled a little again on the TV. So though right now Hot Shots doesn't work. So, but games that have that effect, you got to watch out for. Unfortunately.
So how do you feel about the compatibility overall so far? Like I'm sure obviously it's not going to work with the touchscreen stuff, but
I'm a sophisticated consumer and I can parse this stuff, but it's going to be really confusing for the average just customer.
Yeah,
to figure out like this is a Vita game. Does it work on Vita TV? Like, are they going to go through the trouble of like putting stickers on stuff? If you go straight through the store and get digital stuff, that's not ever going to be a problem, right?
Sorry, I flipped my car. Go ahead.
Yep, you're real good at driving.
Thank you.
Like if you go through the store, then it's never going to be a problem because the store can just say whether it's compatible or not. But like retail, it's going to be a lot more difficult. People are going to be like, I got my Vita TV so I can play Uncharted, and they're not going to be able to play Uncharted. That's going to be... I hope that there's more compatibility. I know that the 3.30 update actually did just make it a better system. The method by which you put in text, they added in a lot more button shortcuts for activating like shift and switch keyboard and stuff that weren't there before. So I think they're going to keep improving. It wasn't a big success in Japan, but I think it has a chance here as being like a media box that also plays, PSP, PS1, and
Does it
Vita games.
Work with the PS4 controller?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
I am not using it that way, specifically just because I have enough DualShock 3s, and there's no it doesn't take advantage of any of that stuff. But if you were, say, wanting to keep this in the second room and use it as like a remote play thing to play your PS4 in another room when someone's using the TV, then you could easily just sync up your DualShock 4 there and just play it like that.
I mean, honestly, that's like the main thing I feel like for me, because I mean, we have two TVs, so we try to, we only have one PS4 here, so it's like we have to balance our time between who gets to play the PS4 first and all that fun stuff. So I could see if the streaming itself works, because it works really well with the Vita from what I could tell.
It does, yeah.
So if it works really well with the Vita TV on a TV, I could see that being a really, really cool feature like that.
It does. Again, you're dealing with 720p, so there's a slight degradation there, but
yeah.
It looks fine in motion. for most things.
The main thing for me would be, does it play fine? And if it work, I'd say if it works fine on the Vita, and that's in the same conditions, I'm going to assume it'll work okay on the Vita TV. So
yeah, I mean, the thing I'm looking forward to most is I still have not picked up 4 DualShock 4s. I have 2 at the moment, and then I have a friend who has one. But whenever we want to play multiplayer stuff on the PS4, what I've been doing, and recently I've been doing it less because I did pick up a second DualShock 4, but for the longest time I just had the one, is remote playing in with the Vita as player 1, and then just using the Vita as a controller.
Uh-huh.
But now I can remote play in with my TV and then sync a DualShock 3 to it and just use the DualShock 3, which is fine enough for any game that's multiplayer because none of them are using any of the special stuff.
There you go.
Yep. Done.
There you go. All right. It sounds, like I said, it sounds like a neat thing. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but if let's say I wanted to play PS4 games not on the main TV where the PS4 is hooked up, and it's something I
that's certainly where their marketing's going.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, cool. It's a cool thing, maybe at some point you'll get weak and be like, I want to play Persona 4 Golden, but larger, but also widescreen. And in that particularly specific instance,
is that why you were really excited about it?
I gave Persona 4 Golden a shot last year and got about 10 hours into it and lost a lot of steam. I wouldn't mind checking it out again. But, we'll see.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I'm surprised you all. It seemed like, I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of game you'd like.
I think just other games came up, a lot of work came up and things like that, and then just it was like 3 weeks between plays, and I lost the thread.
It is a really good December-January game, because that's when Persona 4 originally came out on PS2 back in 2008, and it was a fantastic... I have nothing else to play because there's nothing coming out, but here's this 60 to 80 hour long RPG that'll last me until there are actually new games to play, so, and it works perfectly for that, so maybe hold off till then.
Yeah, we'll see. Certainly won't happen in October. October's crazy.
Yes, it is. Oh, I can't rewind. Oh, wait, there we go. I was pressing the wrong button. I'm all backwards. Okay.
But yeah. I think that probably should do us for this episode. Forza Horizon 2 looks real good.
Oh, yeah.
Better than Andrew.
Oh, wait. Before we go, Sorry. No, we got to talk to you about Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yes. I didn't know if we were skipping it for time reasons or
we can't skip Sherlock Holmes. You got to tell us about Sherlock Holmes.
All right. In that
Andrew,
case,
please tell us.
Okay. So I am a big fan of this particular series, which is made by I believe a Polish
Frogwares.
Yes, Frogwares. Fine makers of, let's say, 7 previous Sherlock Holmes games. I've played.
And just announced as the developer of a new project.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear about this. What is this project?
Yeah. Oh, you haven't heard about it?
No.
They are developing a Call of Cthulhu game.
Oh man, I have not heard about this. That sounds like it could be incredible.
Yeah.
So
but continue.
Yes. Okay, I'm excited for that now. So I've played, but prior to this one, I've played 3 of them. 1 on PC, 2 on 360. They've gotten progressively better over time, but they never quite were great. I feel like the last one, Testament of Sherlock Holmes, was good, and it had a lot going for it, but I feel like it dragged on too long, and it still had a lot of technical issues, and it was good, though. It was definitely a step in the right direction. Now, I went into Crimes and Punishments, the new Sherlock Holmes game, thinking, this is going to be a cool adventure game. It'll probably be a little better than the last one, and that's about it. And I'll write about it, and I'll be like, yeah, it's good if you like these games, and that's that. But man, this is a legitimately great game, even if you've never played any of these games before.
I was going to ask that. Is it a good jumping in place?
Yes. If you are at all a fan of Sherlock Holmes, this is a game you need to play. If you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes and can tolerate, that's a giant rock, I don't want to run into that. If you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes and you can at least tolerate adventure games like kind of classic like first-person point-and-click adventure games. Although you can play in third-person if you want. Basically, this game takes the concept of like you playing as Sherlock Holmes to a whole new level, and the fact that it focuses on deductions and you figuring out the cases on your own, sort of thing. First things first, the pacing is a lot better because it's broken into 6 different cases, all of which are really good. Some better than others, obviously, but they're all excellent in their own way. Some kind of take elements from classic Sherlock Holmes stories. Others are completely original, but overall, they feel like they would fit right into like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's like original set of Sherlock Holmes stories. And the writing is fantastic. I feel like they finally nailed the Sherlock Holmes character really well. Like again, he was fine in the other games, but he kind of, I feel like in this game he comes across as the kind of guy who would, do whatever it takes to solve a case, even if it means like doing ridiculous things to his good friend Dr. Watson. Kind of in the same vein you'd expect from the original stories, or even like the newer show Sherlock, or even. I actually haven't watched Elementary. I don't know if that's any good, but hey, don't okay. So yeah, kind of in it seems like a solid combination of modern Sherlock and classic Sherlock in that regard. So the actual gameplay, the way the deductions work is when you're talking to a character and you. And let's say they're a witness to a crime, or they're just someone who gives you information. You go into this mode where you kind of analyze like the way they're dressed and kind of like different elements of their physical appearance to kind of deduce, if you will, what their personality is like and their upbringing and whatnot. So if let's say they're wearing worn clothes and they have dirty fingernails, they might be. Someone who of a poor background, who might be, let's say, maybe not like living on the streets, and you could use that as a way to like kind of question them based on that, like kind of if they give you a piece of evidence or a witness statement that is contradicting something else that you've deduced, or a piece of evidence you'll have an opportunity to kind of call them out on that based on that, and that sort of thing is really neat. And the other big thing is you can, as you're piecing the case together, you can. Man, I'm just in the middle of a pile up here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Get out of there.
So you can. You don't. The solution isn't cut and dry. You kind of have to figure the case out yourself. Obviously, there are things that are given to you that are obvious, but. As you're going along with the case, you can solve a case without collecting all the evidence, based on, let's say, a good hunch, if you want. And there are multiple endings for each case, based both on your solution and also a moral decision, which I don't think I got too much into the review. Man, my car's sorry. Crazy things are happening as I'm talking about Sherlock Holmes, as they usually do. So. Basically, you have a moral decision. Like, let's say you are convinced this one guy murdered this other person, for example, and you can go the route of these guys this guy's clearly a criminal. There should be no mercy. Just lock him up, throw away the key. There's also the other option of this person they had the wrong intentions, but or the wrong way of going about something, but maybe they had the right intentions rather. So they are. You consider them like good-natured, but went about things the wrong way. So you say, okay, I'm going to leave the police on the wrong trail. You have a chance to get away, and then you do that, and it affects the ending of the case. Which stuff like that. It doesn't affect the overall narrative of the game really, but it's cool. It's a cool way to each case has like multiple endings based on that, and you can totally pick the wrong. That's a dead end. You could totally pick the wrong options, but like if you want, you can reveal if it's right or what you came across as right or wrong. But it's more fun to just kind of like pretend you're Sherlock Holmes and think, I'm smart. I can solve this case on my own. And honestly, not to brag, but most of the times I was spot on. There were a couple of times like going back through cases that I was a little off, but it's fun that way to just kind of like. you could totally arrest the wrong guy for murder and then just move on with your life, as Sherlock Holmes would do, and that's fine. And the story continues, and I think that's great. How open it is really cool. So, and it focuses less on like traditional puzzles, although there are a number of those, and they tend to repeat a lot. Like, let's say there's a lockpicking puzzle, which you will do at least 10 to 15 times.
Oh, lockpicking puzzles are everybody's favorite.
Oh yeah, I mean they're not terrible. They're a nice like break from investigating, like examining evidence and investigating crime scenes. But there's a case, specifically the last case of the game, where you have 2 lockpicking puzzles, and then all of a sudden you get into a situation where you have to do 3 in a row. And it's like, oh, great. It's specifically because the story calls for it, because you're posing as this master lockpicker for reasons I won't get into. So, of course, you have to do lots of lockpicking, but, man, I don't want to do that ever again now. So, yeah, they do repeat some of that stuff, but the rest of the puzzles were generally okay, and they weren't obtrusive.
Cool.
But, yeah, it is surprisingly really good. It looks really nice. I played it on PS4. It has some technical issues as well. But nothing to the extent of the previous game. So it feels like those guys really stepped up their game, and having it branched into both like 6 different cases and also the different endings you can get to, and kind of focusing on what is great about Sherlock Holmes as a character, the deductions and like mystery solving aspects. It really makes this game like shine above any other Sherlock Holmes game. So I think if any of this what I've said sounds even remotely interesting and you like Sherlock Holmes, I would give this game a shot. It's a real treat.
Cool.
Man, yeah.
Well,
lots of good games came out this week, guys.
Yeah, this
3
is
great
after
games
a
plus
slow
Smash
summer.
Brothers.
We're gonna be busy for the next couple months for sure. Yeah, man.
All right.
But yes, we should probably wrap up this episode.
Yeah, I could talk more about Sherlock Holmes, but
Yeah, well, we have more episodes.
Okay, next time I'll give you the Sherlock Holmes update.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So for Andrew and Henry, I'm Graham. See you guys in 2 weeks.
I'm gonna drive this car. Whee!